We will be discussing merchant services, POS systems, and how does a business know when they need merchant services.
Educate your money now.
Hello, and welcome to Educating Your Money podcast. I'm your host, Kristin Kirui-Case, owner of Matnick Bookkeeping and Tax Solutions. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Today's episode is called Accepting Payments for Your Business in Today's World. We will be discussing merchant services, POS systems, and how does a business know when they need merchant services. We would like to thank Out and About Business Solutions for sponsoring our podcast. Today's guest is Greg Forte. Greg was born and raised in South Jersey and moved to Las Vegas about 15 years ago. He has 13 years in the payments industry. He's worked for a few different payment companies, including Shift4, First Data, and Vantiv. He's held various roles, including sales management, business development, and channel management. Greg joined Boom Commerce in 2020. He's had a hand in previously contracted large opportunities, including Caesars Entertainment, Stations Casinos, Wildfire Gaming, and Las Vegas Review Journal. Hello, Greg, and thank you for joining the show today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate to be here.
I'm pretty sure COVID has changed the way business owners have thought about merchant services. They may have thought at one point in time they could do without it, or thought it was maybe too expensive, and then a year-long lockdown hits us, and then they find out the importance of having the ability or multiple options to take in revenue. So Greg, merchant services is still a little confusing for some business owners. So how does a business know when they need merchant services, and what are the benefits of having these services?
Yeah, great question. So what I look at merchant services as, or define it as, is the ability for a business to accept payment transactions of all types outside of cash. So you look at accepting them in store, brick and mortar, over the telephone, and online through an e-commerce solutions. And merchant services can also be defined as accepting credit and debit cards, ACH or electronic check, gift cards, mobile wallets. So there's various ways that a business can accept payments, and a variety of payment methods can be accepted. So payments and accepting credit cards in general is widely accepted today by businesses, as even some businesses out there are going cashless. So I looked up the latest statistics, and it's about 93% of all businesses accept credit cards today. So if a business is not accepting credit cards or alternative payment methods outside of cash, they may be potentially losing customers to their competitors.
So, Greg, what is a POS system?
Yeah, so a POS system, it stands for point of sale system, and it's basically hardware and software solution for a company that allows them to run their business. And traditionally, POS systems are industry specific and have features that cater specifically towards the merchant as well as their customer. So you think about a restaurant's point of sale system, it may allow for the waiters or waitresses to input an order, to print orders, to send orders back to the kitchen. You look at retail point of sale systems for a brick and mortar store. This is going to allow for inventory management, barcode scanning, and those types of things. And then there's industry specific for vet clinics, doctor's offices. So a business may want to track patients, scheduling, and to take it a little bit further, your point of sale system is going to allow for payments ultimately to be accepted through a payment device or terminal. And Boom Commerce, we actually have our own point of sale system that we developed. And for restaurant, retail, grocery stores, liquor stores, and just some of the features that you would see within our system and others out there: online ordering, multiple languages, kitchen displays, handheld units, multiple payment options. So to kind of circle back around, POS system is going to allow a business to effectively and efficiently run their business.
So is Boom Commerce's POS system, or are there any differences between that and, say, other ones out there?
Yeah, what I would say is, if you're a business and looking to evaluate different systems, if you're looking to change a system, or you're opening up a new restaurant or retail establishment, it's very important to spend time ultimately for you to utilize, or the business to utilize, a device that is going to be used by the entire staff, and ultimately going to interact with their customers. So you're going to want to look at features and a solution that is going to be best for your business. And it might take evaluating a few different systems in order to find the right solution out there.
Got it. Yeah. Are there any additional equipment, technologies that business owners need to be aware of that they may need to buy in order to use a POS system?
Yes. So you're going to want to look at printers. If you have a grocery store, there may be a scale. If you have inventory in a brick and mortar environment, you may look at a handheld scanner. And typically, when you're evaluating these different solutions out there, you're going to want to ask questions, again, based upon your environment and how you interact with the end consumer there. You don't want to get stuck buying additional items where they may not be needed. So for example, if it's a quick service restaurant, you may not need a handheld device, but you look at a fine dining restaurant where you can do, where it's sit down, you can do tableside ordering along with tableside payment. That may be an additional device that you would look at purchasing, again, to better interact with your customers and provide greater efficiency for the restaurant.
Now, I know, it's really scary for business owners is the unknown, the gotchas, right? So what is the rate that a business owner can expect when searching for merchant services, or what's out there, the types of different rates? I think that kind of scares business owners.
It does. And unfortunately, the payments industry, it's not necessarily regulated. It does have a bad reputation. And it's the question that I get asked the most and have over my 13-year career. It's what is your rate, or can you beat my rate? And it's really not that simple, because there are a lot of moving parts as it relates to, quote, the rate. So what I'd like to do is just kind of take a second and break it down. So
Sure.
Your major card brands, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express, generally have wholesale rates, buy rates, and that's what we refer to as the interchange rate. And then from there, generally your payments provider would include a small markup. And your payments provider is going to handle everything from the contract, the setup and onboarding, post-sale customer service. If there's any point of sale or e-commerce setup, they're going to walk you through that. And generally, the interchange cost, that's a hard set cost for all payment providers out there. Where the merchants want to negotiate is that piece on the payment provider, which is generally a lot smaller than from the major card brands. And what is your rate, or I have a good rate? It's really a relative term, because what I may think is a good rate, somebody else might not, and the other way around. So what I would tell people is, There's a lot of different structures out there in terms of flat rate, tiered pricing, interchange plus, and that's where you need a company to come in to help educate you on these various fee structures and find out which one is going to be best for your organization. And then I also tell people referrals, or if somebody else is utilizing that provider, they've had a good experience, that that holds a lot of weight in our industry, because it also goes the other way. If somebody's had a bad experience, they were overcharged, there are a lot of fees that came down the road, you're going to want to understand that as well. So it's really tough to say, what is a good rate, what is a good fee, just because of all the different structures out there, as well as all of the different card types. But a good company is going to be transparent. They're going to walk you through the process. They're going to educate you, and they're also going to be transparent as the relationship goes along, with reviewing a statement with you when it comes in and checking in with you every couple of months, just to make sure that something isn't out of the ordinary. And an important kind of note here is that a payment provider can raise rates at any time because of rate increases that are out of our control. It just depends how much that payments provider is going to increase that fee. They could do it fairly, or they can take advantage of it and see additional revenue, maybe where it wouldn't necessarily make sense.
I'm sure that's something that business owners probably weren't aware of. That's something new to me. I didn't realize that. I mean, it makes sense, but I probably hadn't thought about it like that, like that.
Yeah, and I've worked for the largest payment companies in the world, and I've worked with a couple of different startups, and generally everyone is going to have the same cost, and then from there it's just the amount of revenue that the payments organization is going to bring in. So as long as they're transparent, again, they continue with educating the merchant on the different card types and all of the miscellaneous fees. I mean, there's batch fees, PCI fees, and some of those have hard costs associated with them. Others don't, where there's additional revenue built in to it. So again, it goes back to the transparency, the honesty, and you ultimately want to have a long-term payments partner and then be part of your long-term payment strategy.
Are there any hidden fees that they should be aware of?
So the answer is yes. And again, it just goes back to the integrity of the organization. There's a lot that's out there, and it all has to do, again, where the payments provider, we have a hard cost. There's a hard cost for batch fees and AVS fees and PCI fees. And then from there, it's markup in terms of the revenue that would be brought into our business in order to ultimately support that customer. It's going to be customer service and support and kind of the onboarding process. And so it's difficult to kind of pick out, what is a hidden fee. But if you're a business and you're doing significant volume, it makes sense to review your statements every single month, just to make sure that everything is in line with what you had signed up with. Again, you are going to see increases. Visa, MasterCard has 2 increases a year, generally in the spring and the fall. And you can pick up a statement if something doesn't look right. You should be able to reach out to your payment provider and have them walk through with you line by line. And there may be some things on there where something was initially set up wrong, maybe wrong MCC code, maybe the merchant ID was coded wrong. And you're going to want to take a look at those statements, not necessarily become a payments expert, but you're going to want to do a once over just to make sure that that everything is in line.
So has COVID or did COVID change the payments industry any?
The answer is yes, big time. So I was very fortunate with Boom. 2020 was my most successful year, and that was for a couple of different reasons. But I actually noted a few things because there's 4 points that I want to touch on where COVID had made an impact, not just to me and our organization, but the payments industry in general. One was risk on accounts. The second is contactless payments. The third is online ordering and e-commerce solutions. And then the fourth is cash discounting. So going back to the number one, risk assessment. When a merchant account is boarded, there is a risk assessment performed on it. And the bank ultimately will take on risk for that account. And it just depends on the industry that they're in. So I'll give you a perfect example, ticketing. So as we used to go out to concerts and we bought tickets online, we would show up to the concerts. Well, when COVID hit, things were being pushed out, things were being canceled. And so you started to see additional chargebacks and things change with the industry. Unfortunately, the same thing happened with restaurants. They had to change their business model. Many restaurants, unfortunately, went under. So there was additional risk associated with certain industries to where they may have higher rates. They may have a reserve put on them where their fees are held with the bank. Some accounts were canceled and had to come off of platforms. So that was one of the most critical things with COVID. The second one is contactless payments. And I mentioned the additional peripherals as it relates to restaurants. So you have handheld devices where you can go to a tableside ordering, tableside payments. You can take that device out to a car and handle the transaction that way. So we saw a lot of those technologies really get accelerated in 2020 and come to market. And that kind of goes along the lines of online ordering and e-commerce. As you know, a lot of restaurants that may not have had the consumers at their location, they turn to online ordering and e-commerce. So we saw a significant increase move towards those online payments. And then you also look at alternative payment methods. So cash discounting is something new that's out there. And basically what it does is it offers the merchants the ability to provide a discount for consumers paying cash. So you may have heard of surcharge. The premise, at least as a whole, is similar, but it follows all of the compliance and regulations set forth by the states in order for merchants to allow for this payment method. And so that type of payment method eases the burden for restaurants that, again, have been hard hit by COVID. So those are four things that really came to light in 2020.
I can definitely see how the curbside and the being able to utilize payments through your website or some type of app or something like that became very popular during 2020.
Absolutely. We saw it kind of coming out of 2018 and 2019. And once COVID hit, a lot of payment providers out there were looking for those types of technologies and solutions. And still to this day, if you look at kind of that contactless scenario, we see it at the majority of the restaurants that we're going to, and it's just something that I think we're going to see for in the future here.
Yeah, I definitely do too. Okay, so trying to give my followers some inside tips, what should business owners look for when choosing a merchant service?
Great question. So you want to look at the technologies and solutions. This is going to be critical. You want to look at your business a couple different ways. One is, what have you historically done? What's worked? What's not worked? What are you utilizing today? And then if you could paint your ideal scenario in the future in terms of technology, customer interaction, those types of things, you want that to be a part of your point of sale solution or long-term payment strategy, your payments partner. And so the technology solution, you're going to want to partner with a forward-thinking organization. Customer service and support, what I tell people is things are going to happen with your system, with your solution, with the payments piece of it. It's how the organization reacts to do everything that they can to make sure that you're back up and running. Because if you're down, you're not able to accept payments, that's critical for your organization. And also the transparency. So if you have the ability to utilize a referral, or you're going to want to work with a company that's going to educate you through the process, and they're going to take a proactive approach to the relationship. They're just not going to sign you up and then walk away. They're going to be there for you every month, every couple of months to check in, stop in, see how you're doing, and make sure that everything is going to your expectations. And also reviewing that merchant statement with you to make sure that they're giving you a fair deal. So those are kind of the key points there. And, forward thinking, the technologies, the solutions, customer service and support, fair price in terms of the rate, the contract. And if you have the ability to look at somebody's referral where they've had a great experience, that's important.
So what can a business owner expect when speaking to you about your services?
Yeah, so for me, it's about honesty, transparency, integrity. I've been in the Vegas Valley for about 15 years. And I've been in the payments industry for 13 years. I live and breathe this industry. I have a lot of experience. So I've seen pretty much everything that you could see in the payments industry, but also continuing to educate myself as technologies and the industry is continuing to move forward. As you mentioned at the beginning in my bio, I've been proud to contract larger opportunities here within the Vegas Valley, Caesars Entertainment, Station Casinos, Wildfire Gaming, the Las Vegas Review Journal. And each and every opportunity is important to me. Educating the merchant, no matter how large or small they are, I want to make sure that they're getting a fair deal. Even if they decide not to go with me, or maybe we're not the best fit, I'm more than happy to take the time to point them in the right direction. And if they call me up in 6 months and say, hey, Greg, I didn't go with you in the beginning. We're with this company and they're working out really well. Just want to thank you. I'm more than happy to have them give me a call, check in, and just, again, make sure that they're getting not only a good deal, but their business is in a good position going forward.
Well, thank you. So Greg, on top of offering a free consultation, you've also will provide our followers with some document that kind of explains or outlines Boom Commerce for the audience if they're interested. So be sure to post #payments if you would like a copy of this document. Greg, can you tell us a little bit about the document?
Yes, so we have a couple different sales slicks that we'll be able to provide. Generally, it's an overview about Boom Commerce, as well as what value we can bring to merchants out there. And we really look at three things when engaging with a prospective customer. One is, ultimately reducing cost, helping the merchant increase revenues, and increase overall operational efficiencies. So it's important for us to touch on each of those points. And I think the document that that we'll provide here touches on each of those value points. And if there's any additional questions, more than happy to have a discussion.
Yeah, I think those are some great points for business owners to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for me, it's having that transparent conversation, because our industry is very confusing. Matter of fact, I still see merchant statements today that I cannot understand them. They may be hiding things on, future statements, and just by kind of, crunching numbers and taking a look at different scenarios, we're able to tell merchants if we believe that, they're getting a fair deal today. And there's been many instances where I've said, listen, the solution that you have, I think it's the best fit for your company. You're getting a fair deal. It wouldn't make sense for you to switch. Or I can tell them, listen, what I believe is your existing provider is, taking advantage of you, or they're charging you more than what you should be paying. Here's a proposal. We're going to be competitive. We might not necessarily be the lowest out there, but at the end of the day, we're going to provide you excellent customer service, not only before, during, but after the sale where it's most critical.
Definitely. I would like to thank Greg for taking time out of his busy schedule, coming on the show and sharing his expertise. Be sure to post any questions or comments you may have below. Let us know if there's a topic you'd like to have discussed on the show. Comment below or email educatingyourmoney@gmail.com. If you are interested in receiving the Boom Commerce overview documents, be sure to post #payments. Greg, if any of our followers have specific questions, maybe in regards to what they currently have, or maybe what they are, maybe looking for, how can they reach you or for discussion?
Yeah, two of the best ways, either email or telephone. So email is very simply gforte, GFORTE @boomcommerce.com, or they can reach me directly at 702-762-2611.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for watching Educating Your Money podcast, where it's not just about making money, but about educating your money. See you next time for our next episode. Thank you, everyone, and be safe.